Carol Carman, and I'd like to read to you a little bit from the start of my new book, which is Twicetime. Thank you to my assistant. This first scene takes place in the castle. 7 years. 7 years since her father's henchman had held her down while he forced her hand into a signature on the marriage contract. And Lady Rosalind Dibkiss had never given her husband, Lord Rudolph, what he really wanted. Never. So he usually paid for it elsewhere, but temporary financial embarrassment had called for a different approach, one which propelled him up the spiral stone staircase to the room at the top of the west wing tower of Castle Stein, Rose's ancestral home, and the place where she and Rudolph lived in a wedded bliss that depended on them seeing each other as little as possible. The room, Rose's laboratory, was strictly off limits to Rudolph, but if the ancient stone walls looked down on him with disapproval, he didn't notice, and he wouldn't have cared. Rudolph only noticed what mattered to him, and what had mattered to him from birth was himself. From greedy baby to moody child to petulant adolescent to grasping adult, he'd whined, tantrumed, kicked and snatched his way through life, demanding much and taking all. Few people resisted him. It was generally accepted in Morn that that's what aristocrats do. And if you gave him what he wanted, he shut up and went away a lot quicker than if you didn't. And in the castle, the servants gave him what he wanted because it was their job to. And then there was Rosa. If she caught him in her laboratory, his life could be entirely different. Much shorter for a start. However, she was in the library getting a quarterly report from the chief alchemist, so Rudolph had a good couple of hours yet. Better not risk it. He locked the door. On a scarred and stained wooden table lay open a book so old it only held itself together out of force of habit. The serif-littered handwriting caused eye strain, particularly where the black ink had bled into rainbows under the splash of chemicals. Holes in the ragged pages indicated the power of acids, and the brown rings and grease marks showed that those pushing back the frontiers of knowledge still have to eat and drink. Alongside the book, various spoons and spatulas had been thrown onto the table. An assortment of files, bottles and wax paper sachets and round ceramic dishes had been assembled, and a large glass beaker stood at the ready. Rudolph rubbed his hands together. Now for Great-Grandpa Stein's love potion. He started filling the beaker. 2 drops of this one. 1, 2. Oh, never mind. 6 ounces of this. There, that must be about 6 ounces. Bit more for luck. 1/2 inch of, that'll be the blue one. Then fill ye glass up to there with this. He held the beaker up to the light and shook it slightly. The ingredients jostled round each other momentarily before reasserting themselves into separate entities. He put the beaker back down, wiped his sweaty palms on his breeches, and ploughed on. 1 of those. 2 tubs. Hang on, is that tubs or tusps? Oh, too late now. Stir your mixture with a glass rod. Oh, a teaspoon will do. And when it doth cease to bubble, it be fit for use. After impatiently whisking the concoction, he banged the teaspoon twice on the side of the beaker before throwing it back onto the pile of assorted implements. In the swirling mix, thousands of tiny bubbles lapped. Come on, said Rudolph sternly. Tiny bubbles. Massive energy. When it stops fizzing, it's ready. Energy. that wanted to be out and about. Are you going to stop or what? Out and about, playing havoc and making noise. You're not going to stop, are you? Playing havoc and making noise on an epic scale. Uh-oh. There were 2 doors in the room, and no time to unlock one of them. Rudolph pushed open the other one, ran through, and let the wind slam it after him. It was a doorway that was rarely used, given its close proximity to the sky and the fact that it only had floor on one side. A long scream echoed and fell away, as did Rudolph, and, shortly after the explosion, variously sized fragments of laboratory and castle.